Dr. Zara woke buzzing with excitement. Today was the first real trial of her pride and joy. The anti-gravity machine, years spent custom engineering its intricate kinetic parts and tubes that could warp gravitational fields on command, were finally complete. The historic city of Chicago had given special permission to test the machine secretly downtown. Dr. Zara powered up the device, targeting a beam at Chicago's iconic Willis Tower. Air itself seemed to ripple and waver around the skyscraper. Suddenly, with loud metallic groans, the colossal structure lifted slowly into the air. Dr. Zara's heart seized. Panic lanced through her mind. The tower was ascending too rapidly. The anti-gravity machine had worked almost too well. Frantically, Dr. Zara scrambled to shut it down while issuing emergency alerts. But it was too late. Beams were already bathing other buildings, loosening them from foundations in underground shockwaves. Chicago's entire skyline was breaking free under her unintended barrage of anti-gravity rays. Heart pounding, Dr. Zara rushed aboard her custom hoverjet and gave chase to the runaway towers drifting higher on invisible currents. How was she going to explain this to the city officials? And even more urgent, exactly how could she get Chicago's most iconic architecture safely back down to Earth? As a scientist, she solved problems logically and systematically. But as the Willis Tower vanished hauntingly into low clouds, Dr. Zara couldn't suppress a rare, colourful curse. She had just accidentally taken most of downtown Chicago's steel giants hostage to gravity, defying forces. As the sun rose over Chicago the next morning, citizens awoke to a bizarre yet wondrous sight. Famous skyscrapers hovering calmly in midair, suspended as if by magic high over the Chicago River, glittering gold in dawn's light, sat landmarks normally crowding the bustling downtown. The elevated Willis Tower, the neo-Gothic Tribune Tower, even entire chunks of elevated train tracks curved impossibly through the clouds. Early commuter trains passed, giving passengers extraordinary views of Ventana and flying vehicles buzzing around the wonder. Mayor Lewis confronted a sheepish Dr. Zara as emergency teams swarmed. "What happened?" "You must regain control immediately." Sirens shrieked while dazzled tourists snapped photos atop the airborne Hancock Center observation deck against a backdrop, once possible only from planes or spaceships. "I'm working to anchor the buildings safely," Dr. Zara promised, "but containing the unexpected scale of these gravity zone variances statewide strains my resources." She was already studying the humming, hovering architectural giants with instruments. Inside her inventor's mind, though dazzling new possibilities whirled. Who knew what innovation floating modular district or rotating sky restaurants might inspire for the city of tomorrow? For now, Dr. Zara patted the transit company helicopter she'd borrowed affectionately. "Don't worry, Madam Mayor. My polarity stabilizers should rein these skyward darlings home gently. We wouldn't want such rare sights crashing down haphazardly now, would we?" She chuckled, peering over the glittering precipice, her scientific side acknowledged soberly. These dazzling new possibilities aloft would need steady guidance indeed to avoid calamity. News of Chicago's drifting skyline drew global attention. Rather than panic, many began hailing Dr. Zara as a visionary. Imagine floating architecture. Investors competed to fund new buildings designed specifically for levitation living. Dr. Zara tested methods to control hovering structures. Gyroscopes allowed rotation, while graphene cables tethered Sky Park safely. The mayor proudly told newspapers Chicago leads future city innovation. Soon, glittering retail complexes, theaters, and glass-bottomed pools gracefully drifted above downtown. Dr. Zara herself worked aboard her favorite specimen, formerly the stately Water Tower Place Mall. She had converted it into a mobile laboratory full of screens and equipment to monitor the citywide experiment. From her transparent dome office, Dr. Zara Fine tuned the geography of Sky Kago. Elevated trains now ran sky to sky. Floating parks connected neighborhoods with high traffic. Chicago Tribune headlines declared it home of tomorrow. When a celebrity couple held their wedding atop a rotating landmark hotel, Dr. Zara had to smile. Whatever cosmic forces had been accidentally unleashed here, Chicago was embracing the magic with characteristic Midwestern resilience. Yet she knew undiscovered dangers likely lurked in these uncharted gravitational waters they now sailed. Like intrepid explorers of old, these dazzling new sci-fi vistas aloft needed steady guidance indeed. Raw, risk calamity falling from the stars. Looking out her window as fireworks burst into a rainbow over celebrating streets below, Dr. Zara held her stylus thoughtfully between her teeth. Where might the windy breezes of destiny carry them all next? Chicago's floating city of the future attracted visitors worldwide. Eager to fuel profits, Mayor Lewis pushed Dr. Zara to rapidly duplicate her anti-gravity machine. With more devices, we can levitate the entire downtown within months, he enthused. But Dr. Zara resisted the rush. We must proceed carefully until we understand the technology's long-term effects, she warned. Particle anomalies around active equipment caused missing time and accident. Expanding too quickly could destabilize local gravity fields. Yet the prophet, hungry mayor, soon found another partner, Dr. Mobius of Rison Aerotech. Mobius promised cheap anti-gravity platforms requiring far less safety testing. Soon, unauthorized floating structures appeared haphazardly outside Dr. Zara's oversight. Rotating billboards sparked outages when crashing. Panicked sightseers needed rescue when detached observation decks drifted away into a strange gravity distortions, multiplicated as faulty devices pushed Chicago's infrastructure further past known tolerances. Dr. Zara urgently confronted Mayor Lewis again. We caught danger ignoring safety protocols. My readings reveal the very fabric of space-time straining and warping. But the mayor dismissed her concerns amid celebrations of Chicago's ballooning celebrity. He had become obsessed with the idea of accelerating floating development enough to fly the entire city safely using giant rockets to California as a mobile commercial hub. Little did he or Dr. Mobius yet realize the rotating city of the future they dreamed of set Chicago fatefully on an unstable collision course with cosmic forces barely grasped by human science. Forces that could fracture their entire glittering metropolis, completely beyond repair. Dr. Zara's worst fears were realized when a damaged anti-gravity platform violently exploded over Chicago Place Mall. The malfunctioning equipment tore open a shimmering dimensional rift in midair. Downtown buildings groaned on their hovers as the very fabric of space-time warped unnaturally. To terrified onlookers, it appeared a spinning cosmic vortex was emerging, right above the floating city. The widening wormhole released powerful, erratic gravity waves, entrapping more rotating architecture. Within minutes, entire rows of downtown's dramatic towers were sucked into the swirling void, instantly disappearing into the cosmic maw. Horrified, Dr. Zara slammed emergency force shields over sectors that were still intact, while Mayor Lewis ordered a total evacuation. She urgently conferred with scientists worldwide, hoping desperately to halt Chicago's slide into quantum catastrophe. That portal is merging different gravitational dimensions together, Zara explained. Our floating technology must have finally destabilized this region's space-time structure completely. That we're witnessing architecture consumed by a freak hyperspace rift event beyond anything on record? If the vortex grew much bigger, all of Chicago could be crushed like paper and swallowed. Dr. Zara raced to deploy a desperate countermeasure, surrounding the anomaly with anti-gravity wells to contain its spread. but the containment network destabilized immediately. Protecting the city required far greater energy control than she alone had. Heart racing, Doctor. Zara prepared to fly directly into the vortex maw itself, to manually override drone wells from inside the hyperspace disturbance before the whole city imploded. Sorry, that last chapter had too much complex language. Let me rewrite it with simple, clear English that is easier to understand. Dr. Zara flew her jet close to the massive, swirling wormhole that opened in the sky over Chicago. She had to fix the failing anti-gravity machines around it before the whole city vanished. Through the dangerous distortion winds, she found the largest device and landed on it. By adjusting the machine's settings, she thought she could squeeze the hole shut. However, the intense forces made it hard for Dr. Zara to reach the controls without getting injured. Clinging tightly, she entered new codes to realign the anti-gravity device. A loud bang sounded. Dr. Zara cheered as the wormhole began to collapse. Her plan had worked. Just then, hot blasts from the exploding hole hit her frozen spacesuit. Blinding pain flashed, and wind flung Dr. Zara from the machine into the open air. She fell towards Chicago's streets. With the hole now closed, the city was preserved, but with no jetpack, she plummeted helplessly. At least my mistakes only hurt me, she thought, losing consciousness before hitting the pavement. She saved the famous floating city she had accidentally put at risk. Perhaps some future scientists could now handle the leftover unsafe anti-gravity devices glitching around town. Too tired, Dr. Zara let darkness take her as she fell. As Dr. Zara lay unconscious after her daring rescue, a massive shadow slowly enveloped downtown Chicago. The night seemed to abruptly fall at noon. Pedestrians gazed up, and up, gasping in disbelief. An enormous alien spacecraft materialized out of nowhere, easily 6 miles wide and blocking sunlight completely with its metallic bulk. Blue tractor beams immediately shot forth, playing over Chicago's remaining airborne architecture. One by one, the hovering skyscrapers began detaching and getting pulled upwards by an incomprehensible alien force. Panicked emergency teams could only watch as famous towers, works of art in steel and glass, were scanned and sucked wholesale into the Leviathan ship's belly. The invader seemed to specifically target Chicago's tallest giants. Hotel lobbies, retail atriums, and golden domes blinked out of existence under the blinding rays. Within minutes, over 100 of downtown's most iconic buildings had vanished inside the hovering imposter spacecraft. Then, with a deafening roar of starship engines, the titanic alien vessel accelerated upwards and blinked out of the sky. Taking Chicago's heart and soul along with it, stunned planners wandered the eerily vacant streets among warped hovers and foundations. Over half the famed skyline is gone in minutes. But the seeds of rebirth were already stirring. This tragedy created space to reimagine Chicago without overcrowding. With so much open space after buildings disappeared, Chicago planned a better future. Leaders designed a greener city with more parks for people who use fewer cars. Trees replaced streets that once had busy traffic jams. Walkways and bike lanes let people get around their areas easily. Neighborhoods transformed into better communities. Still, many mourned for victims taken with skyscrapers into spaceships. New memorial statues gave families hope that loved ones might return someday. On clear nights, telescopes aimed at the sky, but they saw no clues yet. Those left behind kept waiting and wondering about their abducted members.